Welcome to Let's Talk Finances with Dr. Nina White. Over the last several episodes, we've been laying a strong foundation. We've been talking about budgeting, savings, protecting your assets, thinking long term. But today, we're shifting gears just a little bit. So, like I always tell you, get your family and your friends, get your notepad and everything. Get ready because we're getting ready to get started. Listen, if you're watching live, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're putting the replay button, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to press replay. So, today is for entrepreneurs. Oh, yeah, y'all didn't think I was going to get to you all, huh? Talking about the side hustlers, the full-time business owners, and the dream builders. Because running a business, it requires a different level of financial thinking. You already know what I'm getting ready to start talking about. And I start talking about thinking, you already know, right? It's not just about making money, and it's not about leading money, right? And today I want to talk to you not just as an accountant, but as someone who has sat across tables from hundreds of business owners. Some thriving, some stressed, some making six figures and still broke. Where do you fall in? What category are you in right now? Today we're going to talk about how to operate like a CEO with clarity, control, and confidence. So grab your notebook, and if you're driving, just lean in mentally, okay? So let's talk business finance. Let me tell you something that I see all the time. Someone starts a business, they're excited. They open an LLC online, they create their logo, and they start selling, right? I know many of you all might have done that. I did that, right? This is why we learn from our mistakes and things. But when you look at it financially, it's chaos, right? Money going into cash apps, expenses coming out of your personal debit card, no bookkeeping, no separation. You know what I call that? When you're mixing money together, that's commingling. And I get on a lot of business owners about that. So these are areas that we have to, work on, right? Want to make sure that we structure ourselves correctly when we're starting a business. So now, tax season comes out and we're all stressed, right? So how about this? How about I give you a real example? So I have a client, let's just call her Jasmine. She runs a boutique, great sales, right? Social media is popping. Customers love her. But when she came to us, she couldn't tell me her profit. Not revenue, but profit, right? How many times have I been telling you all, know your numbers? It is imperative. So she says, Miss Nina, I made $180,000 last year. I said, okay. So how much did you keep? Silence. I'm waiting for the answer. Now that's a problem, right? Revenue is vanity. Profit is sanity, right? Your foundation has 3 pillars. Are y'all writing this down? I hope so. Financial separation. If you're using one account for groceries and inventory, we need to fix that immediately, okay? Your business should have, listen, I love this because I just got off of a call literally, and was having this same conversation. The business should have its checking account, its own debit card or credit card, clean transaction history. When money mixes, clarity disappears because you don't know. Money is just coming from everywhere, going everywhere. There's no clarity, there's no structure. The next thing you need to make sure you have is accurate bookkeeping. And I don't mean updating QuickBooks once a year, okay? What I mean is bookkeeping tells you what you're spending too much on, right? Whether your pricing makes sense, and if your margins are healthy, and if you can afford to hire, right? That's what that is. Without any of that, you're guessing, right? So, in CEOs, we don't guess. We know. Thirdly, clear reporting. Every month, you should be able to look at your profit and loss statement, your cash flow, and expense by category. This is what I tell clients all the time. You need to know these things. Know your numbers. I've been telling you all this over the last few episodes. Know your numbers. If you don't review your numbers on a monthly basis, you're not leading financially. You're reacting. I know you'll probably say, oh my God, I remember when she talked about this a couple weeks ago. A reaction is expensive. So I'm telling you, you want to make sure that you know your numbers. We want to think like CEOs. We want to act like CEOs. You supposed to run your business, not your business run you. Here's another example. A contractor comes to us making good money, busy all year, but always waiting on money. How many of you actually do that in business? You're like, I'm working, everything's good, we're operating, but you haven't gotten the money yet. When we looked at his books, we saw the issue, right? Immediately we saw what it was. He was profitable, but his cash flow timing was absolutely terrible. Clients were paying 45 to 60 days later. Suppliers wanted payment in 15 days. So he wasn't even constantly floating expenses on personally, right? So this is what he's doing. He's using his personal funds, his personal money to pay these expenses because he sent down invoices and they're taking their privileged time to pay, right? You offer a service and now they want to delay in paying you. That's not a revenue problem. That's structure problem. When your financial foundation is solid, you see these issues clearly. And without it, they surprise you, right? Again, you're reacting. And surprises in business are rarely good. We do not like surprises because when things start popping up, now we're trying to figure out what we have to do, right? How do we fix the issue? So I just want to just be clear, right? He's had an amazing business, has an amazing business, but we're waiting on money. How can we as CEOs get our money when we supposed to? You send out an invoice. Are you a net 30? Are you a net 45, 60? What type of business are you, right? Then you got to look at your suppliers and how they need their money, right? Make sure that you are setting your standards and letting these people know, right? At the end of the day, you know what I tell people? I say you pay your mortgage, you pay your internet, you pay your utilities on time, but you don't want to pay me on time. And I'm offering you a service, the same services that you get from other companies. So why is it that you can pay them on time but not pay me on time? So we as CEOs, you have to think smart, right? You have to think smart. So another thing, so let's talk about something that confuses a lot of business owners. They think if sales are up, I'm doing well. Not necessarily, okay? Not necessarily at all. I've seen business double their revenue and go bankrupt. Why does this happen? It's the margins, right? Again, they're not knowing their numbers. People get so excited when they see, oh, the revenue, I'm making money, right? But they don't really know what's going out. So let's break it down just real simple, okay? I'll do it, break it down like a fifth grader. If you sell something for $100 and it costs you $70 to produce, you only have $30 left. Now, subtract rent, payroll, marketing, software, taxes. What's left? That's your real profit, right? Again, knowing your numbers. So you got $30 left. How are you paying your rent? How are you paying payroll? How are you marketing? How are you paying for the software that you're using? And hey, let's not forget taxes. So you got to be real, right? Now, here we go. Again, I'm going to always give you examples so that it'll make sense to you. Because I may be talking this and you may say, I have no clue what she's talking about. That's why I'm breaking it down to you like a fifth grader, right? So you can get it. So, a catering client who increased bookings dramatically, right? Super excited. Dr. Nina, I'm fully booked. Like, I'm booked. But when we analyze the numbers, her food cost has increased by 25%, and she never adjusted her pricing. Before I move any further, so many people are afraid to increase their prices. What are you worth, right? What are you worth? The value that you offer, right? You have to be able to increase your prices and do not be scared to do that. I'm telling you, I myself was in the same position when I first opened. I was just trying to just get clients. So whatever I would charge, I just was like, I'm just going to charge this because I want to get a client. I want them to come to me. But then I started realizing I'm giving out a lot of great information. And, and people are saying, why aren't you charging for this? I just want to educate and teach people about finances. But that also costs, right? Why? Because I'm going to classes. I'm going to seminars. I'm going to conferences. And I'm bringing this information back to you. So I had to increase my prices because I know the value that I offer, right? So that's one take-home key I need you all to focus on. Increase your prices where you need to. Make the adjustment, right? So back to our caterer, right? So she's working for more. She's working more, but getting paid less, right? So now that's exhausting, unsustainable, and you have to know your margins, okay? Another example, a salon owner with 6 stylists. Revenue looked amazing on paper. But when we reviewed the overhead, we found excess product waste, underpriced services, too much overtime for payroll. After restructuring the pricing and tightening expenses control, profit increased by 32% without adding a single new client, right? Let me say that one more time. They didn't increase revenue, they increased structure. Thinking like a CEO, right? Now let's talk about cash flow timing. Remember, I talked about that maybe like 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. You can be profitable and still run out of cash. That's why understanding inflows and outflows, it matters. So I want you to ask yourself a question. When do clients pay? When are your bills due? Do I have 3-month operating cushion? Okay. If the answer is no, that's where the stress lives at. right? So, in stress clouds leadership decisions. I've been there. I've told you all. I've told you my story. I've been there. Cash flow forecasting is simply predicting. That's it. We do forecasting in M&D accounting. Just predicting, right? What will my bank account look like in 30 days, 60, 90? What does that look like? It's not complicated. I promise you it's not. But it requires discipline. You have to discipline yourself. Business owners who master their cash flow, they sleep better. Period. Absolutely sleep better because now they understand their cash flow. Now let's elevate. CFO thinking is different. It asks, what's coming next quarter? What risks exist? How will taxes impact profit? And should I reinvest or reserve? Most entrepreneurs operate on a month to month, right? But CFOs operate year to year. I got to get you all to change and shift the way you think about your business. A lot of times, you're hustling, we just trying to get the bag, right? Listen, you got to change the way you think about your business. This is your business. This isn't just something you picked up off the side of the road. This is your baby that you're molding, right? That's what's happening. And listen, it is so emotionally powerful when you absolutely think like a CFO, right? So check this out. A client wanted to buy new equipment, $85,000. He had the cash, right? Emotionally, he wanted it immediately. Remember when I was talking about the wants and the needs back when we starting earlier? He wanted this immediately. But however, we factored seasonal dips, upcoming tax liability, payroll expansion. If he purchased this immediately, he completely drains his reserves. Remember, you want to have that 3-month cushion, right? He's going to completely drain his reserves if he purchased this. Because why? Acting out of emotion. I need to do this right now. I think this would be great for my business right now. But would it be great for your business right now? Or it's going to be sitting to the side, right? Until you need it. Instead, we structured the financial strategically, right? Preserving liquidity and maximizing the tax advantage. That's not about saying no, right? It's about saying not yet or not like that, right? It's leadership. Again, taking the time to pause. Y'all remember I talked about that pause piece. Taking that time to pause and think, is this something I need right now? How is it going to affect my business if I go and purchase this thing right now? How is this going to affect if I hire somebody right now? Do I have the funds to be able to do this? You got to be a leader, right? It's all about thinking strategically. Another major area is tax awareness. It is tax season right now, right? And I need business owners to hear me clearly. If you don't plan for taxes throughout the year, April truly feels like an emergency, right? Because you didn't think, you don't stop. That's why I'm always talking about tax planning, right? This isn't a one-time thing you do when tax season arrives. You have to do this all year long. Because if not, like I just stated, April is going to be an emergency because now you're trying to find resources to pay for taxes that you could have strategically planned for, right? Estimated payments matter. Entity structure matters. And deductions matter. I literally just set up someone yesterday with estimated payments. They're doing that. So it's going to help them in the long run lower their tax liability. I've seen business owners overpay tens of thousands of dollars simply because they did not strategize early. Listen, if you don't hear me talk about anything else, you want to make sure that you strategize your taxes. Get that in place. Lower your tax liability. It's so easy to do when you get the right help, right? So you know what to do. And I've seen others underpay, right? And they wind up facing penalties. You don't have to do that. Neither scenario is ideal, okay? When you think like a CFO, taxes are part of the strategy. It's not a surprise. This is why I want you to know those numbers. It is so important to know these numbers. I can't stress it enough. I absolutely can't stress it enough. Call M&D Accounting so we can help you. This is what we're here for. This is what we're here for, to help you. It's tax season. Our office is jumping. But when I tell you tax planning means more to me than just someone saying how much I'm getting back, right? We have to strategize, especially my business owners. We got to make sure we're strategizing. What would happen if your top client leaves? Sales drop 20%, equipment fails, you get audited. Now, I tell everybody, it's not if you get audited, but when you get audited, because you will at some point. And you want to make sure all your numbers are in order. So, the next thing, do you have insurance? Do you have emergency reserves? Clean documentation. That's that structure piece relating to your business. Is everything clean? All I's dotted, T's crossed. You want to make sure that you get an internal audit done of your books, of your operation agreements, all of these things, making sure things are in order. Because listen, these things happen, right? These are not negative thoughts. So I don't want you to think that, oh my goodness, I'm going to get audited, or oh my goodness, I don't have any emergency reserves, or oh my goodness, I don't have insurance. Calm down. That's why I'm teaching you. So if you don't have it, go ahead and get it, right? These are projective thoughts, right? Strong businesses prepare in advance. CFO thinking. Weak businesses react in crisis. That's why I always talk about that emotional piece, right? Because they're reacting like, oh my goodness, this is happening. What am I going to do? If you was already prepared throughout the year, there's no reason to fall apart, right? And preparation, it builds confidence. So you definitely want to make sure that you are ready, right? Think about it as if the auditor was walking in your business tomorrow. Are you ready? Are you ready? I mean, we can look at it from any standpoint. Of course, we're talking about entrepreneurs today, but any standpoint, individuals. If something emergency happened in your home, are you prepared for that? If it happened tomorrow, if it happened in the next hour, are you prepared? So listen, let me bring this home, okay? Entrepreneurship is powerful, but passion without structure is pressure. Revenue without profit is illusion. Growth without strategy is risky. If you are a business owner and you're listening to me today and you know your financial foundation needs strengthening, don't ignore the nudge. I know you feel it, especially during tax season. I'm telling you, we are here to help you. So if you need a professional tax preparer, not just someone who say, I do taxes, someone that can break this down to you on every level, explain it to you line by line. Our team at M&D Accounting Firm would be happy to assist you. Whether it's business tax preparation, personal returns, clean bookkeeping, cash flow strategy, or even CFO level advisory. We are here to help operate with clarity and confidence. You can call our office directly at 1-877-839-7778. Again, that's 1-877-839-7778. Or email us at contactus@mdaccounting.org. If you got some questions that you would like to ask me, or even comments that you would like for me to share on the next episode, text us at 1-844-436-2788. Make sure you leave your name and where you are watching from. I would love to shout you out. This is tax season. Don't wait until deadline pressures hits. Get in front of it now. Let's do this the right way. And if you have a question you'd like me to answer, like I stated, send a text message or email us. I'm Dr. Nina White. Thank you for joining me on Let's Talk Finances. Lead boldly, plan strategically, and I'll see you next week.